Hey everybody, it's that time again. It's October Solemn Assembly Week, October the 4th through the 10th. And this month we are calling October Solemn Assembly Overcoming Oppression October. Yes, we're going to overcome everything that attempts to oppress you, block you, stop you, and keep you from becoming all that God has called you to become. We're going to overcome sickness and disease. We're going to overcome this coronavirus in October. We're going to overcome the poverty and all of the financial insecurities that are going on. We're going to overcome fear, anxiety, and worry. And yes, we're going to overcome this racial conflict, this political conflict that has divided our nation like it has never been divided before. But God has given us power over all the power of the enemy. You know, these things that we are desiring to overcome and these things that we need to overcome were prophesied about, and God gave us the solution to these things that we're dealing with in the book of Matthew 24, when it says nation will be against nation at the end of the age. Nations are speaking of races. It's the word ethnos, which means ethnicities or ethnic groups against ethnic groups. Kingdom against kingdom. That's speaking of ideologies, political ideologies, conservatism versus other political ideologies, liberalism, religious ideologies, kingdom against kingdom. It talks about in that same verse in Matthew 24:6, plagues and pestilences and famines and earthquakes. All of these are the beginning of sorrows. But it goes on to say that in the 14th verse, but this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the nations as a witness, and then the end will come. This month we're going to investigate through the preaching of the gospel and prayer the overcoming, overthrowing power of the word of God, and we're going to dive into the word concerning the racial divide, concerning the political divide. Listen, I wrote a book back in 2012 called The Table of Brotherhood: How to View and Discuss the Racial Disparities, Injustices, and Party Politics Across the Racial and Political Divide. And so we're going to dive into this book in the month of October. Some of the subjects, some of the lessons that we will deal with each night is the journey and process from racism to reconciliation. There's a process, and actually it's been playing out over the last few years, and actually this whole past decade it's been playing out. Racial suppression versus racial oppression. How we see what we see. We're also going to deal with racial pride, bias, and police brutality. What fuels racial bias in a society? We're going to deal with racial healing, reconciliation, and the justice movement. Listen, a cry for justice is a cry for the just one. A cry for justice is a cry for Jesus. And we're going to put him up before this month and declare Jesus is the only answer to the racial divide. So you don't want to miss this month, October Solemn Assembly, October the 4th through the 10th, Overcoming Oppression October. God bless.